Okay, I'm back, y'all, and Divinely Grateful Risings. How are y'all doing today? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to the message. Welcome to the message, y'all. You know what to do, ski booski. Like the live, share the love, drop something in the chat that you're grateful for. Let's get in the flow of abundance. Make sure you turn your notifications on so you're notified anytime I go live or post a video. And subscribe. It really, really, really helps us to get the messages out to as many people as possible, y'all. We out here trying to wake some folks up. Okay, we got to wake some folks up. So, Bible clarity, y'all. Bible clarity. I didn't say it. Y'all already know we serving spirit and glam with a touch of spirituality. Okay, so all it do it. Let's get to it. Bible clarity. We are in the book of Isaiah. Come on, restoration. Isaiah 35 and 36. Isaiah 35 and 36. I ain't gonna tell it, y'all. I hope the volume be good on here. I should check it on the other one, huh? Because I got my phone. Dude, I hope the volume on the other one is good because y'all, can I just told y'all that I said this on the other message that I just did. I recorded so many videos and guess what? Then none of them had no volume. So anyway, moving on from that, I ain't gonna be frustrated no more. I was, child. I was 38 hot. I was 38 hot. Let's turn the phone off and then we'll see what how long they stay on there. I'm back. All to do it. Let's get to it. I hope this, I really hope that this works out. Isaiah, my eye just started twitching. 35 and 36. Let's do it. Here we go. Hope for restoration. Now we just got done talking about a message for the nations, like the Lord basically coming in and saying, hey, when I lay the sword down, it's gonna be kind of rough, but there is always hope. There's always hope of rebuilding and restoration. So that's what we're talking about. Isaiah 35, hope for restoration. Even the wilderness and desert will be glad in those days. The wasteland will rejoice and blossom with spring crocuses. Yet there will be an abundance of flowers and singing joy. And singing and joy. The deserts will become as green as the mountains of Lebanon, as lovely as Mount Carmel or the plain of Sharon. There the Lord will display his glory, the splendor of our God. With this news, strengthen those who have tired hands. Come on, Lord. Strengthen those message who have tired hands. Say to those with fearful hearts, oh wait. With this news, strengthen those who have tired hands and encourage those who have weak knees. Not weak knees, Lord. Child, y'all know my knees a little antique-ish. They ain't antique yet. They antique-ish, okay? But actually, yeah, I'm gonna fit tell it in the middle of the Bible clarity, y'all. True story. Give God the glory, y'all. Since I have been wearing my waist trainer, I have lost 6 pounds. I have lost 6 pounds. So committed. It really gave me some incentive. And true story, like the first thing I saw it the other day. We finna get back. But I saw it the other day because I was looking in my face and I was like, man, my face didn't look as fat. Because you know, a lot of times, first place you tend to see like weight losses in your face. And I received that because baby, I was looking swollen and everything. And this waist trainer is not pushing me up as much. It still got a little lift. Okay. Lift, baby, lift. It got a little lift on it. But I could tell because and we talking about the weak knees. Why? Because one of the things that made me know, like, man, I need to lose some weight is because my knees were really bothering me, y'all. And I would just notice like they were just really bothering me. And so since I have started to like lose weight, and there were certain times I could tell, like if I had a lot of fluid on me, I could tell that I was carrying, like I had extra fluid on me because my knees would be hurting. But since I've started to kind of lose some weight, um, my knees feel so much better. So hands on your knees, hands on your knees. Okay, I'm back. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong and do not fear, for your God is coming to destroy your enemies. He is coming to save you. Drop it in the chat. Here he comes. And when he comes, he will open the eyes of the blind and unplug the ears of the deaf. The lame will leap like a deer, and those who cannot speak will sing for joy. Springs will gush forth in the wilderness, and streams will water the wasteland. The parched ground will become a pool, and springs of water will satisfy the thirsty land. Marsh grass and reeds and rushes will flourish where desert jackals once lived, and a great road will go through that once deserted land. It will be named the Highway of Holiness. Come on, Highway of Holiness. I don't even know if I said this, but I had to look up the word holiness the other day because some kind of way the Lord ended up taking me to know more about holiness. And I had to look up the word holiness the other day. Let me see if I can find it. Because he was giving me like a message about, let me see if I can find it, y'all. I might have said it. Not surveillance. I didn't talk about it, huh? I don't know, but I sure had to look it up. Oh, here we go. This was on the 21st, so maybe something happened for you on the 21st. Holiness, holy means sacred, divine, worthy of devotion, set apart, spiritually perfect or pure, untainted by sin, or saintly. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if somebody needed to know that, but anyway, come on, the highway of holiness. Evil minded people will never travel on it. It will be only for those who walk in God's way. Fools will never walk there. Lions will not lurk along its course, nor any other ferocious beast. There will be no other dangers. Only the redeemed will walk on it. Those who have been ransomed by the Lord will return. This is talking about the exiles coming back from Babylon. They will enter Jerusalem singing, crowned with everlasting joy. Sorrow and mourning will disappear, and they will be filled with joy and gladness. Assyria invades Judah. In the 14th year of Hezekiah's reign, King Sennacherib of Assyria came to attack the fortified towns of Judah and conquered them. Oh, I remember. Y'all, this is literally on page 633 of this Bible. Come on, alignment. I don't know if this is in First Kings or Second Kings. It will probably, does it say it down here in the what's called? We've already read this, but I remember what this part of what the message was that I recorded on this. We finna talk about in a second. Then the king of Assyria sent his chief of staff from Lachish with a huge army to confront King Hezekiah in Jerusalem. The Assyrians took up a position beside the aqueduct that feeds water into the upper pool near the road leading to the field where cloth is washed. These are the officials who went out to meet with them: Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator; Shebna, the court secretary; and Joah, son of Asaph, the royal historian. Sennacherib threatens Jerusalem. Then the Assyrian king's chief of staff told them to give this message to Hezekiah. This is what the great king of Assyria says. What are you trusting in that? What are you trusting in that makes you so confident? Do you think that mere words can substitute for military skill and strength? Who are you counting on that you have rebelled against me? On Egypt? If you lean on Egypt, it will be like a reed that splinters beneath your weight and pierces your hand. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, is completely unreliable. This is true. But perhaps you will say to me, we are trusting in the Lord our God. But isn't he the one who was insulted by Hezekiah? Didn't Hezekiah tear down his shrines and altars and make everyone in Judah and Jerusalem worship only at the altar here in Jerusalem? I'll tell you what, strike a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria. I will give you 2,000 horses if you can find that many men to ride on them. With your tiny army, how can you think of challenging even the weakest contingent of my master's troops, even with the help of Egypt's chariots and charioteers? What's more, do you think we have invaded your land without the Lord's direction? The Lord himself told us, attack this land and destroy it. Then Eliakim, Shebna, and Joah said to the Assyrian chief of staff, please speak to us in Aramaic, for we understand it well. Don't speak in Hebrew, for the people on the wall will hear that. But Sennacherib's chief of staff replied, do you think my master sent this message only to you and your master? He wants all the people to hear it, for when he puts the city under siege, they will suffer along with you. They will be so hungry and thirsty that they will eat their own dung and drink their own urine. Then the chief of staff stood and shouted in Hebrew to the people on the wall. Listen to this message from the great king of Assyria. This is what the king says: Don't let Hezekiah deceive you. He will never be able to rescue you. Don't let him fool you into trusting the Lord by saying, The Lord will surely rescue us. This city will never fall into the hands of the Assyrian king. Don't listen to Hezekiah. These are the terms the king of Syria is offering. Make peace with me, open the gates, and come out. Then each of you can continue eating from your own grapevine and fig tree and drinking from your own well. Then I will arrange to take you to another land like this one, a land of grain and new wine, bread, and vineyards. Don't let Hezekiah mislead you by saying the Lord will rescue us. Have the gods of any other nations ever saved their people from the king of Assyria? What happened to the gods of Hamath and Arpad? And what about the gods of Sepharvaim? Did any God rescue Samaria from my power? What God of any nation has ever been able to save its people from my power? So what makes you think that the Lord can rescue Jerusalem from me? First of all, you foolish, because you just said if the Lord allowed you to attack them. See, that's the thing. He stopped getting he he had it right in the part where he said the Lord allowed you to overcome certain things. But just like the Lord gives, he also takes away. So then you stop, then you said, oh, the Lord is the one who said we was going to attack. He was the one who said, he said the Lord himself told us attack this land and destroy it. But if he told, just like anything else, if the Lord takes it away, if he destroys something and tears it down, he'll rebuild it back even better. He always got a plan. Drop that in the chat. God always has a plan. But the people were silent and did not utter a word because Hezekiah had commanded them, do not answer him. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna, the court secretary, and Joah, son of Asaph, the royal historian, went back to Hezekiah. They tore their clothes in despair, and they went to see the king. And they went in to see the king and told him what the Assyrian chief of staff had said. The end, child. He talking big-ish, wasn't it? He was, baby. He talking big noise, child. He was talking big noise. So anyway, let's do it. Let's get to it. And child, he was talking, he had a lot to say, didn't it? But the Lord be that how the Lord be. He'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna let you keep talking. A lot of times people will talk themselves right into a ditch, right into a problem, be talking and doing all of that against the Lord, and then all of a sudden the Lord show up and be like, now what you said? What you said? Look, get silent when the Lord show up and really get in your face about it. Let's do it. Let's get to it. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I know I said this on the last video, y'all, but this is the new Hydrate Your Soul affirmation deck, available on my website, touchegermaine.com. And one of the cards that's in there says, I am fearfully, let's see if I can get it to focus. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Come on, the roses. Now, let me tell y'all, we're going to just keep that one. Let me tell y'all what had happened as I'm getting this deck out that we're going to use. So, like I told y'all, I had recorded these videos and I ended up losing like 7 of the videos that I have. Matter of fact, y'all know it's real life tarot. Look, reality tarot over here. I just want to double check. I just want to see something real quick, y'all. I wonder. Yeah, it's showing me as live, but the message, 8 episodes. Let me just make sure I have volume on this one over here. I'm checking it. Message. Talking to God. Okay, so I had to check that, y'all. Oh, look what's on our widget. Come on, 411. I had to check that because y'all, I lost like 7 videos. I know I said this on the message that I just recorded. 411, Psalm 27:1, and you've got help. So on one of the videos that got lost that I had to delete, I used the deck that we're getting ready to use. So let me give y'all a little backstory. We're getting ready to use something that I do not use very often, which is the Love and Clarity deck. The Love and Clarity deck. This was the third deck that I made. So this was back in 2023. And let me just tell y'all, I don't use this deck very often, but the Lord has instructed me to start using this deck. Now, let me tell y'all, this is a true story. This really happened, and I wish I still had it, but I don't. As I come on 11/11 confirmation, thank you, Lord. Look, receive it. As I was using this deck the other day to record a video, I literally picked this deck up and I started talking about why I don't use this deck as much. And as I was recording, as soon as I picked it up, because I wasn't even planning on using it, but as soon as I picked it up and started talking about it, y'all, right hand, I swear on Jesus sandals, I received a notification from let me just say, because this is my story, and my story is my truth is my truth.com. I received a notification from the person that I was in my domestic violence situation with. I have not heard from said person in years. I don't think I've heard from this person since like 2017, y'all. Like, it's crazy. And all of a sudden, as I was picking up this deck and talking about it, I got a notification from that person. And y'all know that feeling that you get when you at the top of a roller coaster and then you go down and all of a sudden your whole stomach just like drop. That's literally the feeling I got when I saw that notification pop up. He was on one that found me on, because he's blocked on everything that, you know what I'm saying, but he found me on TikTok. And of course he's blocked at this point, but here's the thing: you block somebody, but you know people are going to create another page, so if he want to see me, ultimately he can. I don't really care. But all of that to say, I hadn't heard from that person since 2017. And all of a sudden, he shows up as I was getting ready to talk about this deck. I don't use this deck as much, but here's why. And this is let's just talk about healing. Come on, Lord. Look, I'm not what about Mr. Biggs in the show talking about these? Not that. I'm back. The reason I don't use this deck as much, but the Lord has now instructed me to start using this deck, is because I will say this: when this deck is a deck that I poured all of the toxicity that I had dealt with in so many relationships, I put it in this deck. It's like half positive, half negative, if you will, for lack of a better way to put it. But this deck for a long time was very triggering for me, because there was still a part of me that wasn't healed from the toxicity and the things that I went through in these various relationships. So it was crazy that he shows up the same day that I decide that the Lord says you got to go ahead and start picking this up. Why did the Lord instruct me to start using this? Because many of us, and I'm giving, and I can't, one day when the Lord sends me my husband, hey husband, hey honey, child, I'm talking, I mean, I'm gonna talk to you real good. One day when the Lord sends my husband, he will be able to message. He will come on, husband, karma. He will be able to give a perspective from a man's point of view. As it stands, I cannot give a man's point of view. So the things that I'm giving, although men that watch my channel, or even if you reside in your divine feminine energy, you may relate, you may understand some of these things. But again, this is me giving things from my perspective. And so I ran from this deck, y'all, for a long time, because I felt, because I was not, you know how you feel, you think you're healed from something, and then all of a sudden you kind of recognize message, you recognize something, and or you just recognize something within yourself, and you be like, man, I thought I was healed from that. Now let me also say, come on, 12:13 on the clock, we received that, Lord. Come on, the call of Abram. I did some research on that the other day. Anyway, yesterday it was. one thing that picking up this deck, and like I said, the Lord calling me to use this deck, is because many of us have to deal, there are very toxic things in relationships and things about ourselves that we have to heal so that we don't attract the same type of relationships, the same type of people, narcissists, abusers, things like that. And so the Lord finally was just like you're ready for it, because there was a, I'm on my own healing journey, right? I'm going through my own healing experiences. And so he knows now that I'm not giving any relationship advice, any, you know what I'm saying? He wants me to be able, he had to put me in a position and a level of healing to be able to give a perspective and wisdom from a healed and healthy place. And so, but it's also me not being triggered as I use this deck, because it has some things in it that can sometimes be tough to deal with. So he gave me the instruction to go ahead and start using this deck. Now, what I will also say is, even when that situation occurred the other day, I have forgiven myself. Now, this particular person, and maybe he'll see this one day, I have no words for this person. I have no communication. There will never be any friendship. Like, I'm that door in that chapter of my life is closed. He said he apologized and, said, hey, one day can I win the friendship back? No. Like, no. And what I realized in that day was, it's not for me. You don't need my forgiveness. You need the Lord's forgiveness for what you have done. I'm not interested. Like, there's no part of me that's interested in dealing with someone who was so traumatic in my life. And there's been and that being said, there are a couple of situations that the Lord has had to say, hey, you need to shut that door because it was too triggering. This is even recently, y'all, like, hey, you need to shut that door because it was triggering, and me being able to do the healing from it means that I need to not revisit certain situations. But one thing that I have found, which was pivotal in my healing journey, and even being able to use this deck, is facing the things within myself that attracted these kind of men. Forgiving myself. Come on, drop this in the chat. I forgive me. Forgiving myself for the things that I put myself through, that I allowed myself to experience, because I was very unhealed, because I was very hurt, very wounded, very broken. And so many times, this is also for whoever this is for, besides just me. Come on, God. I couldn't even get it out quick enough. This is also an indicator for some of you that once you can forgive yourself for things and people that you have dealt with, the Lord, and you really, it's like knowing that you're healed. I'm not angry about the situation anymore. I'm not angry about being in a physically abusive relationship, because I know that at that point in my life, I was in a completely different place. I was a completely different person. So me forgiving myself is now allowing the Lord. Look, didn't I say I was going to talk to my husband real good? Meant it. Is now allowing the Lord to bring in a person. Look at the roses. Is now allowing space and making room for a person who will be the complete opposite of everyone that I've ever dealt with before. And many of you are getting ready to experience that. And maybe it's something you haven't experienced or dealt with. Many of us hadn't. Many of us went through cycles of men who were just as toxic as we were, because that's who we were. Remember, you got to be the energy that you want to attract. So many of you, as you go through your healing journey, and this is the thing, y'all, we don't want to just attract anybody. We don't just want somebody just because. Like, we don't speak out loud that you just want somebody, because God will, not God, the enemy will bring, he will send a counterfeit your way. Like, he will send somebody in that you may think is going to check all your boxes, but that person is simply somebody because you said, maybe they could be the same, just the same spirit, because it's a spirit, right? The same spirit in a different body. This is why you got to do your healing. This is why when the Lord sets you down somewhere, and sometimes that's the hardest part, is because we be wanting God to send us, like, send me my husband, send me my husband. No, Lord, Don't send me my husband until I'm ready to receive him. Don't send me my husband until I have healed from the toxicity that I know that I have, so that I don't bleed that toxicity onto him. Don't I'm good with being single. I'm good with being celibate. I am good, Lord, until I am ready for this man to come into my life. And does that sometimes require purification? Yeah. What does that mean? You're going to sit down on them credentials. You're not going to give everybody your credentials, because you're going to value yourself. You're going to value yourself, and you're going to know that that is a valuable part of you, and everybody don't deserve that. Okay. Everybody don't deserve to get your goodies. And so, but it sometimes it'll take for the Lord, like me, y'all, as an example. I was a woman who, from from the time 18, from a month after I turned 18 up until I was 41, I had never been single. I always had somebody. I ain't have a whole lot of men, mind you. I had a little strumpet in my spirituals, because I can be honest, but I cheated on somebody before. And so I've been cheated on. Like, I got all my karma back. Understand this. What I put out, I have since gotten back. And so from 18 until 41, 40, yeah, maybe 40 going on 41. 40, yeah, I was from 18 until 40. Man, that's a long time, ain't it? Okay, I'm back. Listen, I had always been with somebody. I'd always had a man. And from 40 up until now, the Lord has said, no. I done sat down on these credentials, y'all. Like, ain't nobody getting none. But and also in this time of celibabstinence and isolation, the Lord has allowed me to just learn to fully embrace and love myself. Many of us, I started taking care of somebody when I turned 13 years old. That's when I started working. And so I've always had somebody message. I've always had somebody to take care of. But with that being said, then of course being, getting pregnant and getting pregnant at 16, having my daughter 3 days after I turned 17, I've always had somebody to take care of. So it was like family, child, husband, everybody. Mama had to take care of everybody except for me. So now in this season of my life, the Lord is allowing the one thing that I hadn't experienced, which is taking care of myself, loving myself, not really having any responsibilities, because to take care of someone else, I'm still of service, right? Acts of service, because I still do serve and give these messages as the Lord instructs me to do. But this has also been the time where the Lord has just given me the time to love on me, to nurture me, to find out my hobbies, the things that I like to do. And many of us don't have that experience because we're so used to pouring out, or don't have it until later in life because we're so used to pouring out, or you have children, or even if you have a husband, sometimes you give more to your husband or your significant other than you give to yourself. So for some of you, what's happening is the Lord he has you in a season of transition to where, yeah, he made you, and you ain't gonna sit here and act like you don't have your times when you get lonely. Like, I look forward to the days when my husband is sending me flowers and courting me and going on dates. And because I love Leo energy, the house of love, right? I love love. I am a full blown romantic at heart. I love all things love. Like, I really enjoy that. But I also realized that for the majority of my life, it wasn't something that was reciprocated back to me. So the Lord has since put me in a season of sitting by myself, learning to love myself, learning to date myself. Okay. Giving myself flowers, giving myself compliments, doing like gifting myself, giving myself these things, so that when he brings my husband in, these things are going to be a requirement. But do you understand that there were so many times that you want someone to do this, but you won't even do it yourself? You won't get your own hair done. But then, and I'm just keeping it a buckles, right? You won't get your own hair done, but you want a man that want to come in and get you and keep your hair done. So what do? You won't get your own nails done, but you want a man that's gonna come in and pay for all of that stuff. You have got to be willing to do for yourself first what you want any man to do for you, because then you set a standard for yourself. And so if I keep my hair done, and this is me, right? Y'all know the Lord, I hadn't always been in, like, going through my wilderness season, I wasn't always able to even do my hair like I have my hair done now, or do my nails, but it's something that was a part of my self-care. Um, and that I wanted to be able to do. And so now that the Lord has blessed me to be able to do those things, it's not, and again, I enjoy, but see, now it's more of a hobby for me. But if that is something that you want a man to do for you, you got to do that for yourself. You got to pour that same love into yourself, because when he sees how come on, Spirit, when he sees how you value yourself, when he sees how much you care about yourself, how much you love yourself, he's going to have to meet that standard. And that's it, and it's not going to be, there's no compromise on it. Does that make sense? It's not negotiable. Like, I'm not finna, no, this is my standard. And so whoever needs this, it's like, you have to set those standards. But guess what? It took me years to do that. I didn't require that as a standard from any man that I have dated. Again, it's reality TV over here. Okay. This is not trying to shame, because I'm not ashamed of talking about this. I'm simply sharing this because it was not a standard that I had. My mama didn't have that standard. So I never had that standard. And it's not that the men that I dated wouldn't periodically do nice things for me, but it wasn't a standard. I didn't, it wasn't a standard for them to make sure that I had money in my pocket. It wasn't a standard for them to get my hair or my nails done. It wasn't a standard for them, for none of these things that I do for myself now was a standard for me then. But the man, my husband, he gonna know it. Why? Because he's going to, for some of you, come on, Spirit, some of you, what's happening is the Lord is taking you through this season of loving yourself, supporting yourself, and taking care of yourself, so that when he brings somebody into your life, they will already have that stand, that'll be the precedent is already set. But it has to start with you. This is what self-love means. This is what self-care is. Because he gonna come in and be like, well, if you ain't doing that for you, why you want me to do that for you? This is why it's so important for us to love ourselves and nurture ourselves and take care of ourselves and pour into ourselves before you want somebody to come in and love on you. Next, communication. Intellectual stimulation, intelligent conversation, open lines of communication, and be honest about your feelings. The first thing that's coming through on this is emotional unavailability. Message. Emotional unavailability. I had a habit of attracting men who were emotionally unavailable, which means they didn't want to communicate their feelings. They weren't in touch with themselves. I'm not saying that they didn't take care of themselves, but they just weren't willing to talk. They weren't willing to talk about the things that they felt. And the other part of that is some of you, the understanding that you got to have, like, you got to have somebody who's mentally on your level. There are certain things now, like, you got to be able to talk to me good. Like, you got to be able to stimulate my mind. Yes, I want you to look good, and that's cool, but can we have a conversation? Can we talk about stuff? Like, we got to be like-minded. Do you see the flow of like-mindedness on this card? Like, you got to be able to talk to me real good. You have to, because and everybody don't require that. No, we gonna have to talk because I'm a talker. Okay. So for some of you, but again, it took for God to put me by myself to really start to understand the things that I need. Like, I don't need the strong silent type. Like, I don't want that, because then I'm like, no, I like to talk. I want you to talk back to me. So we got to be able to have intelligent conversations. We got to be able to talk about stuff. So this is about your love languages, learning yourself, knowing yourself. But you're only able to do that a lot of times when the Lord will make you sit down and not have any partnerships, so that you can really get back to knowing who you are, loving yourself, understanding yourself, and also understanding why you've attracted certain type of people into your life. Especially if you ever said it's the same person, or the same person in a different body. This is what it means, because it's something in your spirituals that is attracting that type of person. So you got to figure out what it is. As an example, for me, the reason that I had never been single was because I was afraid of being alone. Does that make sense? I was afraid of being alone. So that, and that's only one part of it. I was afraid of being alone. So therefore, I always kept somebody, because I was afraid of being by myself. So what happened? In order for the Lord to heal me from that, because being alone meant that or the fear of being alone meant that I just would, and I didn't just take anybody, don't misunderstand it. Like, I was still selective, but there were things that I knew were red flags that I shouldn't have ignored, but I did, because it was just like, but at least I ain't by myself. So what happened? He put me by myself for years in order to help me heal from that. And so for some of you, like you, we be looking at or thinking that the Lord just don't want us to have nobody. No, it's somebody for you, but you want the right person for you. We don't want just anybody anymore. Like, we not on that type of time. We don't want just anybody anymore. So for some of you, that's then, like, you'd be like, well, why such and such got a husband or a girlfriend or a boyfriend and I ain't got one yet? Listen, Lord, don't send them till I'm ready. Don't send them till I'm ready. Don't send them until I've healed the things from within myself, that so that I don't project that hurt. I don't bleed that onto the husband that he's sending into my life. Lord, don't. If this is another example, I had one of my exes that I talked to told me, and this has been a while back, but he was like, and that's y'all talk about forgiveness. Okay, let me say this. I'm not it. I ain't ready to date. Okay, like, I'm not in that mindset. I'm in the mindset of rebuilding myself, and this is the first time that I've just gotten to be with myself. And God will know when, God will do what God is going to do. He'll send my husband when he wants to send him, and I'm good with that. But I'm very, very grateful that God has not sent anyone into my life when I'm not prepared for it, or I'm not ready for that person. And so a part of me being prepared for the husband that the Lord is sending me is forgiving the relationships that I've had from my past, like I just talked about. And so, um, I used to have this hard and fast rule that I don't talk to my exes. But I also realized that I've grown so much. Now, I don't want to talk to all of them. I have talked over the past couple of years. I have talked to them in at different places, but I realized that there's such a level of forgiveness that I've given myself, to where we don't have to, like, there's nothing wrong with me talking to my exes. And again, I had a hard and fast rule, like, I don't talk to none of them. But it was because I was still coming from a very hurt place. Now I can talk to them and even apologize to them, which I have, for the things that I did in the relationship. And we just good. We're good. I don't ever have to talk to them again, but we're good, because I have forgiven myself for what I allowed myself to go through and what I allowed them to put me through. Does that make sense? And so I'm not telling everybody to talk to your exes, but I have done healing with, come on, keep it real. I have done healing with my exes in order to close those chapters and to close that pain and that trauma within myself, to prepare for my husband coming in. Does that make sense? When? I don't know, but I'm not in a rush for it either. Real love, authenticity, and honesty. Look, a stamp of approval. Message, we receive it, Lord. Not the judge right there. Come on, judge allows oath keepers. Um, but that's just like the truth of that, right? Um, and now let me say this and be very clear about it. I know, child, because first thing, people, don't go running to your ex and talking to your ex if you have not done that level of healing with yourself. If you are still hung up on your ex, any of them, don't open that door, because there are some doors that need to be kept closed. Example, there are certain exes that I can, every now and again we'll tap in. Hey, how you doing? I'm good. How you doing? Because they'll see me online or something. My ex-husband, my baby daddy, right? Or one of them, my oldest baby girl, I don't talk to her daddy. But even if I off chance, like during holidays, like my baby might be over there at her grandmama and them house, and he there, hey, hey, how you doing? That's it. There's nothing else that's needed besides that. My other my ex-husband, me and him good. Like, we have kids together, so me and him good. My ex after that, you know, nothing to say. The one like it's certain. So, and even the one that I just told y'all that I ended up messaging me. No, it ain't no words. That's a door that will never be open. That's a door that the Lord shut, and He said, "Leave it shut," and He meant that. And so there are no words. So it's not like all of them, because the forgiveness was not for them; it was for me. But then there are other exes that I'm like, we good, and because we've grown up, and it's not even on that type of time anymore. So all of that to say, this is not saying go run back and talk to your exes. Once you've done a level of healing and grown and matured in certain areas, you can have it, depending on the way that y'all left the situation. And it's up to you, but take that to God. That does not mean go run and talk to your exes. It's simply me giving an example of the healing that God has done, has helped me to go through, to where I can speak to my exes and be like, hey, we good? You good? Okay, good. I'm glad things are going well for you, and keep it moving. And it ain't no, oh my gosh, like this deck. It ain't no, oh my gosh, I can't believe they put me through that. Man, good. Listen, I'm so happy and so grateful about the things that you put me through, because if you hadn't put me through it, then I wouldn't be the woman that I am today. Does that make sense? When you can get to that point where you can look back on the situations, I look back on the situations that I went through with them, and I'm like, man, y'all, thank y'all. Drop that in the chat. Thank you. Because if you hadn't gone through those things, you wouldn't heal from those things, and you would experience those things again. You would keep repeating the same cycle. So for me, I'm grateful that I went through those things, because it let me know everything I won't do, what I don't want, what I won't experience, what I will not tolerate. It helped me heal. Does that make sense? What else? So yeah, like I said, it you know what doors are meant to stay shut, and one message, and which ones you need to, like, there are doors. And again, this is not about revisiting any kind of anything. This is simply saying we good, we grown now, right? I got plans for you: marriage potential, engagement, meeting the family, love, and happiness. So some of y'all, your person could be coming in. But again, what has to happen first? That time with yourself, loving yourself, nurturing yourself, spending time with yourself, so that you can be ready for when the Lord brings this person in. Um, I should, huh? I don't need on the cut. On the cut, y'all. So says Padre God. Okay, so the Lord may definitely be bringing in the abundance, the Deuteronomy 28:12 that's coming in. The Lord will send rain at the proper times from his rich treasury in the heavens, and will bless all the work you do. You will lend to many nations, but you will never need to borrow from them. I don't even feel like that's the part of what the Lord is just confirming, like I said, what I said. There's so much healing of self that has come as a result of me, as of the Lord putting me. Thank you, Lord. We received the confirmation of the Lord putting me by myself, and me just, I don't even look. He just said, I don't even need no clarity cards on this. There's so much healing that has come from me just being by myself and spending this time with the Lord. And I need to bring this up. This is important as well. When you know and begin to experience the way that God loves you, you will require, again, standards. You will require a different level of love from any man or woman that comes into your life. Now, no one can love us the way that you should let me love you. They just started, shout out Mario. They just started singing, like, no one can love you the way that God loves you, right? but damn it, you're gonna have to come close. Many of us women or men in divine feminine energy, take how it resonates in your spirituals. You've been the provider. I feel like this is so many messages in one. I probably should have saved it, but we'll talk. Whatever come up, come up. Many of you, the season that the Lord is calling you into is a season of rediscovering your femininity, a season of rediscovering. Now, some people, and I think I heard this somewhere the other day. You can be, and I didn't know what it was. I'm gonna look it up. I didn't even look at this. I'm gonna look it up because I had never heard of it before, but I looked it up because I had never heard of it. A Sigma female. I had never heard of a Sigma female. It literally says a woman who is independent, resilient, and self-reliant. She is often described as enigmatic, introspective, and a quiet trailblazer. She's comfortable in her solitude and prefers meaningful connections over superficial interactions. She uses reason and self sufficiency to guide her. She may need to withdraw to process her thoughts, especially after intense situations. She chooses her company wisely and may have a small but mighty circle, and she values control over her emotions. Okay. She brings unique strengths and perspectives to the table. Their independence and analytical thinking offer a different approach to problem solving. The silent treatment that Sigma females exhibit is not a form of punishment or disinterest, but rather a way to recharge and reflect. Y'all, I had never heard of a Sigma female until the other day. I looked this up, and it's crazy because I can't even remember. I don't even think I mentioned this on the first video that I did, but the Lord was talking to me about femininity, power, and that's how we ended up getting to the Sigma female. I don't know how to explain this. I ain't never really been this, so I'm an alpha female. I don't, and maybe I always have been. I don't know. Many of you, maybe you've always been in control. Maybe because of the men that you dated, you never really had the opportunity to reside in your feminine energy. And I feel like many of you, what the Lord is doing is He's reversing the roles. He's reversing that where you are going to know what it feels like. And for many of you, especially if, like, let's say you're waiting, and this is why this period of solitude and isolation and maybe celibacy is so important, because it gives you a time to get your mind right, to get your body right, to get your resources right, to get your spirit right, to get your heart right. It gives you the opportunity to really do all of those things. And the first thing that comes with that is allowing yourself to face some things within yourself that shows you why you attracted a certain type of person. Many of you, no disrespect to anybody, but many of you, you may have dated men who were not providers. You were always the provider, hence alpha, right? So you may have always been the one that's taking the, thank y'all, that's the celebrity. And I'm finna do it in the middle of the message, but I'm finna give this celebrity because she said it and I completely resonate with it. She said it the other day. Let me I'm finna do it. Celebrity spotlight, as I am giving this part of the message, goes out to Cheryl Underwood. The other day, and this is, I love the Lord. The other day I was watching her and she was on Club Shay Shay, and shout out Shannon Sharp and Cheryl Underwood. She was on Club Shay Shay and I saw just a clip of it, but she was talking about how even though she is, of course, well educated, has her own money, message, all that good stuff, she was talking about how even if she makes the most money, the man is the breadwinner in the house. And what she said, I completely understood. Or she was saying, like, he's the head of household. Many of, and the way she explained, which I'm paraphrasing, but to put it in my own words, no matter how much money you make, you should not want to be, well, I can't say that because maybe some women want to be. Many of us have had to be in charge. making the decisions, the head of household. Speaking for myself, and if you can relate to this, drop this in the chat. I can relate. I don't want to be in charge. This is a season of my life where I've been the head of the household for a long time, my whole life. I don't want to be that. I because it puts responsibilities on you that many of us are just like, man, why I got to carry the weight of the whole family? Like, ain't that there? And for many of us, we haven't had that opportunity. So that's what she was saying. She was like, listen, and many of you, and not everybody, and this may not resonate with everybody, and that's your business, but this is my opinion, and this is how I feel about this. I don't want to be in charge. I don't want to be in the lead. I'm not going to just follow anybody, but because you got to be taking me somewhere, leading and guiding me somewhere, but I don't want to be in the position, the role of the head of household. Why? The problem is so many of us women have been placed in that position so many times in life that we don't even know how to submit. We don't, it's why you think it's so hard to submit to God, because you're having to give up control. And so many of us have had to be in control that we don't know how to give it up. We don't know how to just let the Lord lead, guide, and direct, because we're so used to having to figure it out, make it happen, control everything, have everything under control. Like, we're so used to that. That's why it's so hard for us to let go and let God a lot of times, because we're so used to having to try to figure everything out. We ain't used to someone being able to, or telling us like, hey, I got this. You don't have to worry about how the bill's gonna be paid. You don't have to worry about how this, getting the oil changed. Like, y'all, I'm very self-sufficient. So yeah, I got to make sure my oil gets changed, and make sure I get tune-ups, and make sure all of these things. It's been very, 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 until now, let me just say that because the Lord is like, listen, I'm going to make sure that the bills get paid. This is the example that the Lord is trying to give for some of you, and I hope this is tracking. It's like, this is why how he's trying to shift you out of that, your masculine energy, and into your feminine energy. And this is for the people who are praying for it, because everybody don't want to step out of that. You can be a divine feminine and very powerful. I reside in that energy, and I receive that energy. But you can also be a divine feminine. So if you're a divine feminine who is very powerful, you need somebody that's going to match that energy, because you're not going to want to be told what to do. And there's somebody for everybody. So you may be that woman who doesn't want to be told what to do. You don't want to be led. You don't want that. But you still need someone who's just as powerful in their own right. And whether divine, like alpha females, will admit it or not, you still are going to submit to that man in some type of way. You're not going to, you may be in control in your job or your businesses or whatever, but I guarantee you, in one aspect of your life, you are not going to dominate that man. Whether it's in the bedroom, maybe it is, because then if you have somebody that you're dominating all the time, like, why do you need, I don't know, it's just my opinion, but I said what I said. Like, I don't want someone who I need to dominate. I just am not in that season. And I want someone who knows himself, who an alpha male. So some of you, it's like understanding that you can be powerful, you can be assertive, you can be confident, but you can also be submissive to your husband. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And so what the Lord is doing is transitioning many of us into a season where we're still powerful, we're still confident, we still reside in our divine feminine energy, but we're also willing to allow a man to provide for us, protect us, provide safety to us. And so this is the example that many of you, God will set before he brings a husband into your life. Does that make sense? You learn to, when you build this relationship with God, you'll learn communication, because now your main person that you're communicating with is God. And so the way that he talks to you, come on, God, the way that he talks to you is different. God doesn't yell at you. God is not harsh. He's not, narcissistic. He ain't playing, he ain't talking down. He's not criticizing. This is why God needs to be the example of the man that you want to come into your life. How God treats you is the way that a man should treat you. The way God loves you is the way that a man should love you. This is why God needs to be. And I didn't always understand it when I first used to read about the bridegroom and, the bride of God and all the bride of Christ and all of that. I didn't understand it. But now I understand that God has set the example for me, which is why, come on, Spirit, which is why for those of you, I can't date a man who's not godly, because the man who is godly is going to know how to treat me, because he's going to be first, God is going to be the head of his life. Because if God is not the head of his life, then he wouldn't understand my mission. He wouldn't understand my love for God. He wouldn't understand why God is even ahead of him. So for many of you, that's one of those things about being equally yoked. That's why God will have to get you right with God before he can send somebody in. Because when he sends this husband in that you're praying for, that man will have his own relationship with God. You won't have to tell him how to treat you. He will know how to treat you, because God has already told him the way he needs to treat the woman that he's bringing into his life. Does that make sense? This is why the relationship with God is so important, because everything that you want from a man, God is going to do first. You want a man who's going to make sure that you are taken care of. He's going to support you. He's going to nurture you. He's going to be compassionate. He's going to listen. God is all those things first. This is why when God puts you in the season where he's just sitting you down and it's just you and him, he's going to make you know who he is, because then when he finally says, okay, you're ready, because you won't accept anyone who doesn't represent me, then he can bring someone in. But you got to first know those characteristics. It's why you have to know him first. This is, he will compliment you whatever way this is. He tells us he's proud of us. He tells us he loves us. He communicates with us. He nurtures us. He listens to us when we cry. He's compassionate. Like, he's all of these things. But you got to know God first in order to know, to receive that, and see those things in the man that you're wanting to come in. I hope I said that right. Okay. Anyway, I hope that made sense. Like, this is something that God has taught me in this season of celibacy. Okay. Like, just sitting down. It's just like, no, I need someone who has their own relationship with God, so that he can understand mine. I need someone who loves God the way that I do, so that he will understand why I love God the way that I do. I need somebody. Yes, all of us have gone through trauma and situations and all that good stuff. So, message, he's going to have his own understanding. Does that make sense? Because he's gone through some things, you've gone through some things, but both of you have had to prepare and get yourselves right with God. This is the Proverbs 31 woman, of course, is what they're bringing up. Like, you, and for my divine feminine women who don't, I didn't understand it until I really started reading Proverbs 31, and I was just like, oh yeah, this me. This me. So anyway, that's the point of this message, is like, when you know God and understand and you allow him to be all of those things for you, you'll then be the energy that you want to attract. And you'll have standards set for what you want to attract. Anyway, Lord, I hope this helps somebody. I know that kind of went all over the world, but y'all forgive me. This is me introducing. This is good though, because I kid you not, the message that I got from this time wasn't nearly the message that I got from this the first time. And so I'm grateful that the Lord is allowing me to introduce this day. It really speaks to healing within myself, healing that I've done, that is really allowing me to now start talking about, the healing that's necessary as we are preparing for new things. This is also further letting me know that God may have you in a season of transition to where once you've done a certain level of healing, you're then ready for the Lord to introduce someone into your life. So the fact that he's telling me to use the love and clarity deck is like, hey, we're going to look at these things, especially for those of you who may be praying for a person or praying for your spouse and you trying to figure out why God ain't sent them yet, like why I ain't got my person yet. There's somebody for everybody. I absolutely believe that, and God is going to send someone, but there may be a season of your life where God just wants you to himself so he can get you right for the person that deserves you. And we don't always look at it like that, because yeah, you get lonely, and yeah, you be wanting somebody to come in, but God's just like, hey, if you can just hold on and get yourself together, like, hey, maybe this is just your season to sit with yourself and learn how to love yourself and take care of yourself and be okay by yourself. It's just preparation for somebody great and amazing to come in, because you become great and amazing yourself. Anyway, Lord, I hope this helps somebody. Y'all, hydrate your soul and things. Drink your water. Say your gratitude. Have a fantastic and an amazing day in purpose and on purpose. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Love y'all in real life. Bye, y'all. Thank you, Lord. Child, I hope I got it right, child.